So now we are going to talk about how we can implement the block pattern to a counter application, right? So regarding this entire thing, if you have any questions regarding some theory part, just go check out the last video. It has everything you need. So let's start by adding the dependency. So I'm just gonna like go to the terminal and write flutter pub add flutter block. Perfect. It's gonna get me the latest version and it's added. So the next thing is that we need to make sure that we have a proper file structure. So it's gonna have like two folders. One is gonna be called the block and the other one is gonna be called pages. So yeah, let me start with the block and the next one is gonna be called pages. I mean, we are just gonna have like one page, but yeah, it's still better to like have a proper file structure. So in the pages, I'm just going to create the file called counter page. This file is going to have the UI. Now the next thing is that in the block we are going to have like three files. The first one is the counter block. The second one is the counter event. Here we're gonna have both increment and decrement functions. So yeah, make sure you remember that. And the third one is the counter state. Perfect. Let me see if this is added. Yeah, Flutter block has been added. Now the next point is, how about we just start with the main dart a bit. So in the main.dart, we're gonna have like, we need to like wrap this entire thing in this my app part into the block provider. So yeah, let me just cut it out. Let me write block provider. In the create part, we need to add a context. Now that is going to lead to our counter block, which we haven't created. So just like wait for a while till we create everything. I'm just like starting it out at first. So counter block, it's I mean, this class is going to be there in this counter block file. Now in the child, we need to have the my app. Perfect. CHIND looks perfect. Why is it showing me some error? Run app. Block provider. Oh, this shouldn't end here. Yeah, better. Now next, let me just uncomment this part. This is the counter page part. So we're gonna be like doing it one by one. Okay. So let me see with what we can start first. How about we start with the counter events? Okay. So in the counter event, we need to create the abstract class, abstract class, and I'm going to call it counter event. Abstract class basically gives the structure of how we can use the block. All right, so the only reason why we use abstract class is, I mean, not the only reason, but one of the reasons why we use abstract class is to make sure we have a proper structure while coding, like while coding certain scenarios of the app. Right. Now let's create a class and I'm going to call it increment. And this extends the counter event. Sorry. Nothing is going to be in here. Now the next one is going to be called decrement, and this extends counter event. Perfect. Now how about the next one? We can go with the counter state, right? So in the counter state, this is the counter state, right? Yeah, counter state. We need to have another abstract class. It's going to be called counter state. Now inside it, we need to have like create a value. So I hope you know the difference between like final and constant. Final like the final variable, if we just create it again, it can be changed, while on the other hand the constant remains constant throughout like the entire app process. So this is like one of the questions the interviewer might ask you. I mean, if they're like digging deeper into like your knowledge base. So yeah, I mean, in most interviews, what happen is that like they ask you like really basic questions, like for example, the difference between final and constant, what is the like a use of shrink wrap and all. And on the other hand, they also, I mean, sometimes in like really high paying jobs, they also ask you about like some deeper insights on software engineering, or if you want to like do on software testing and all, they also ask you like details of uh, software testing. So just make sure that you like when you are actually preparing for an interview and all, like make sure to just not only go through some complex structures, but also make sure you go through all the basics. Like just open the Flutter docs and make sure to like read everything and make sure you understand everything whatever is in there in not only the major widgets but also like really small widgets. All right, so yeah, moving back, let me create this constructor value. Perfect. Now let's create a class called counter initial. So this is going to extend the counter state. So this is going to provide the initial value of the counter initial. Let me just give it the value of 0. Perfect. The next part, let's give a counter value. I mean, this is going to store the current value of the counter. So it's going to extend counter state. Now yeah, counter value, let's give it the int value. I mean, this is going to accept the value of int super super value. Perfect. Now for the next part, we have done counter state, counter event. Now let's go to the final one, the counter block. So this is going to just contain the class called counter block, and it extends block. And one more thing, if in an interview, like there is specifically mentioned in the job description that you need to use blocks, just make sure to not only go through this, also make sure how you can call an API using the block. All right, so it's kind of like important. So make sure you just like do that part as well. I mean, calling the API part, it's gonna be in the next section, but that's not an issue. It's really easy, but if they specifically ask you to do it in this architecture, then just make sure you know how to do it. Counter block. Yeah, import the block library. Now inside it, write counter block. We need to initialize with the counter initial. Inside the brackets, let's write on increment event emit. So this is the event, and what is the emit? I mean, it is going to just like change the state. All right, if you want to like go through here, you can see like how things, I mean, what exactly are the reason why we use emit. And you can also go back to the last lecture where we explained the theory of emits and all. Anyways, moving on. In this part, I'm going to add counter value, and here we can write state dot value plus 1. And I guess we did not close the brackets. Yeah. Yeah, now it's better. So after this, okay, so right now I have a challenge for you. How about like I showed you how to do this increment part. How about you do the decrement part by yourself, right? Just pause the video and try it out yourself. Okay, so moving on. Let's do the decrement part as well. EC decrement, close this thing. It's going to have an event. How about I do one thing? Let me just copy this entire part and then just paste it here. Let me write here DCRE decrement, and instead of +1, let me write -1. Perfect. Let's counter state. Sure why. Okay, so I just imported the counter state from here. Now the block part is done. Let's move on to our counter page. Now here, I mean, at first in the like main.dart, you can just import the counter block here. And finally, let us finish the counter page, and then we can finally just import it in the main.dart. All right. So first things first, let me just create a class. I'm going to call it counter page. It extends a stateless widget. Stateless widget. Yeah. And in the meantime, we can also just import the counter page here as well. Perfect. So let's write override here in the widget build, write build context, context. Make sure to return a scaffold. CAFF only scaffold. Now inside the scaffold, let's go with the app bar first. Put the app bar. In the title, you can write something like, I don't know, text, counter, anything is fine, but counter app, block. Next, in the app bar, you can write here body, and here we need to add the block builder. Inside the block builder, just add the counter block, and next add the counter state. Perfect. Let me put a semicolon here. Now let's open the brackets. Counter state, counter block, block builder, yeah. Inside it, write builder. Let me see if the structure is all right or not. It's block builder. Okay, never mind. So over here, first things first, let's go with the builder. In the builder, we need to accept context and state. Inside it, we can just return a center widget. In the child of it, we can give a text widget, and inside it we can just give the value of the counter. So I'm just going to write here $. Okay, never mind. How about we just do this, state dot value dot toString. Perfect. Yeah, add a null checker, or no, I think we need to import this. That's why we're having the issue. Yeah, perfect. Now if you want to add some style, you can add it as well. Text style. Let me just increase the font size to 24, so that it's clear. Let's add some const. So that the text part is done. Yeah, so let's put a semicolon here. No, yeah, and this block also ends here, but we need to do a few more things. We need to add the floating action button as well. So let's just see in the floating action button. Yeah, so instead of doing this floating action button, instead of coding this entire thing over here, I would prefer to just create another stateless widget, and there then we can call it directly in the floating action button. All right, so I'm going to call it like my floating action buttons. Let's remove this part, and in the widget build context, we need to return row, return a row widget. Let's keep the main axis alignment to main axis alignment dot end. Now in the children part, let's add a floating action button. Now in the onPressed section, we need to call something here, the block provider. So yeah, let's call block provider. let me delete this thing, then write dot of inside the context. I mean, this is gonna be the context, but inside it we need to like mention it, which type of context. So yeah, counter block. I mean, we need to mention the type, sorry, not. And then let's click on the add function, and here let's call increment. Perfect. Now if you want to add a tooltip, you can write tooltip, and in the message you can write increment. Then in the child property you can give an icon of icons.add. Perfect. Now just like the way we have this increment, you can also copy the entire thing and then do the decrement part on your own. But at first let me just give a sized box with 10.0, and if you want you can also like keep it constant. Now let me just copy this entire part, paste it here, and let me change a few things. Instead of increment I'm going to call here decrement, and in the tooltip I'm going to write here decrement, ENT, and I'm going to use the icons.remove. Perfect. If you want you can also put const here, because this is not going to change and it's going to improve the performance of the application. Perfect. Let me see if there are any errors. Yeah, so no more. Now in this floating action part, just call my floating action buttons. Expected it to find a semicolon. No, it's gonna be like comma. Perfect. Now let's run it on Chrome. I guess with this we have entirely finished how we can implement Bloc on our counter application. Not sure about why there is Cupertino as well here. Anyways, let me see if I have imported any extra things. No, everything is fine. Now let's see how it looks like. Yeah, so we have the counter block application and it increases with this increment button. Here is the tooltip and here is the decrement button, and it works just fine. So with this we have successfully completed the implementation of block architecture on a counter app. See you in the next lecture.